Hello, today we are going to talk to Paige Hamilton. It's Tony Gonzalez from Made in Metal. We are going to talk to Paige Hamilton from Helmet. How are you, Paige?
I'm well. How are you?
Fine, thank you. We are
Nice
here because the band will release a new album via Ear Music entitled Left. Tell me, what can we find in this new CD?
It's, the Helmet song, their Helmet songs, we've always kind of just tried to write what we dig, and it's a hard rock album, this album's probably a little more political than albums in the past, but and I've been joking about it. It's kind of our version of All You Need Is Love by the Beatles. It's just delivered in a little bit more venomous tone, because it seems like the people on on one side of the aisle, or certain opinions seem to, the minority screams louder than the majority, and there are more of us that feel compassion for human beings than aren't. So kind of about that, I guess.
Helmet was several years without new material. Then
right.
2021, a live CD, then a single, a cover from Gun of 4. Maybe were you preparing the new arrival, of new music?
Oh yeah, no. After we finished Dead to the World in 2016, we got so busy. Like 2017, 18, and 19, the band was touring up the world like a lot, and we also do other things. Like Helmet's not our only musical project. I wrote a piece for a high school orchestra in Memphis, Tennessee. It's the oldest high school orchestra in the United States. I played guitar on about 6 or 7 movies. I'm working on a jazz album and a solo album that I hope to release maybe next year, but maybe 2025. So when I delivered the orchestra piece February 6th of this year, I started the new Helmet album the next day, basically. But I always keep notebooks, around, like in my living room and in my car and in my bedroom and workroom. So I'm always writing down, just like, scribbling notes constantly. Like there's the lines from the song Gun Fluff in here: threats and terror, life disaster, wrong place, wrong time, no regret. And I had said all this time, and I ended up with all this life. So it's kind of fun to go back and and I wrote down she's a New York City tough guy. That's about my ex-wife. So I changed the line, but it's similar to that. So yeah, I start with me, my, and I, stratosphere, resolution, pursuance, knowledge. I'm kind of constantly observing and writing things down and reading, and so when it comes to lyrics, I have an idea in my head, but the music just was fresh. Started, I have a few folders on my desktop of my computer where I'll have a riff, maybe in a drum beat, or I'll have a cool chord sequence and melody, stuff like that. So little sketches. But I really started writing like February 7th. So.
And I remember I told you before that I was born
Cuba,
and it was Betty, the first CD that arrived from your band Helmet. And now when I listen to Left, I go back to Betty, and the sound of the guitar is basically the same, but in this CD is clearer. Tell me about your sound, your guitar sound in Helmet.
Yeah, I've used to, back in the old days, I used a Marshall, a 50-watt Marshall. Very clean amp. It's called a 2204S. So kind of like it's not like a 800 or I have a 1979 JMP. It's a lower gain amp. It's a very loud amp, but I would put distortion in front of it, like a digital rack mount, crappy, cheap Yamaha thing. and drive it into the front end because I was an idiot. I didn't know, still am. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just like plug in and get a sound. When I discovered VHT amps, which are now called Fryette, it kind of changed the way I heard guitar. And I still have two Marshalls, but I have mostly I use Fryette gear. There's not a better amp designer for what I do in the world. He's a genius, and that's a big part of the sound. But I also, my guitars, ESP. I've been playing ESP guitars for a million years. They make great instruments, I'm trying to think what else. The guitar sound is dry. I use effects for solos and for backing parts. Color parts. Like if I want to color the top of the chord, and I'll just say I'm just going to play like a root 5 octave thing. That's going to be that let's say it's the major 7, the 5th, and the root of the chord. I'll play a chord like that with the top 4 strings to kind of fill that sound out like that. And the chords that some people say, well, we invented drop tuning. I mean, like, no, people were playing in drop tuning before us. We did invent kind of the minimalist drop tuning, thing with the weird chords, because our chords are different than major, minor, or power bar chords. They have extensions, so there's a lot of space in between the notes, and that's the thing that a lot of people miss out on, is all that harmonic information gets lost if you clutter it up too much. So I like the sound to be distorted but clean, if that makes sense. Like AC/DC. Like that's the best guitar sound, ever. I also really love Secret Treaties. Blue Oyster Cult album, that guitar sound is phenomenal. And Buck Dharma is phenomenal as well. We did a Blue Oyster Cult cover on our little box set. So I love those guys too.
Let's talk about the songs, because there are some songs that like me a lot, and I consider that was really interesting. The first was Holiday, the single.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you, the song was released as a single because it's the happier song of this record?
Is it what? The happiest?
The happier song. Yes, the happiest song. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if it's happy. It's funny. The language was, a lot of people were put off by the language because I'm not known for swearing in songs. I've always sworn. Sometimes I just disguise it and I never put it in the lyrics. I always would make up a word instead of saying the F or F bomb. I'd write like suck or duck or whatever. That idea with those rhymes, what I was kind of making fun of that, of lowest common denominator rock bands, and that are always going for shock value or for just to try to dumb their music down. And I always felt that was it's kind of condescending, and from the standpoint of whoever wrote that music. But the other thing that this song addresses is how we are completely obsessed in our culture. This is in America where I live, with celebrity, and everybody's an Instagram star, a TikTok star, a YouTube star, all this stuff. And we watch all these murder shows, and every show is about some grisly murder. And then there's forensic files and Dateline about actual murders. And every time you get together in the holidays, there's a marathon of Law and Order or Forensic Files or Dateline. So you spend half your day just sitting around eating food and watching these murder shows. So that's like time for your holiday serial murder. And I just would say that was somebody's daughter. That was a human being that died. And we can't become desensitized. We shouldn't become desensitized. When I read Johnny Depp or Axl Rose or whatever by Charles Manson songs or something, I think it's lame. It's fucking lame. He's a piece of shit. He's a killer. And I don't like to glorify those people at all. That's why I love Tarantino's movie Hollywood. Was it Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Was that the one with Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie and where he makes fun of the Manson family? I don't know if you saw that movie. I think it's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. DiCaprio, right? Great movie. I love that. I love that he's saying "fuck you" to the Manson family. Fucking the clowns, assholes, evil. So yeah, that's kind of the song is not about one specific thing. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I love that the title is like a Madonna song, Holiday.
But I agree with you in that case. But thinking of what you think, New York City, Tough Guy, was written thinking of an special person, or is a general character?
Yeah, it's the first line in the song is she's a tough guy, NYC, and that was about my ex-wife, who we've been separated since 1999, a long time ago. But I always had this idea in my head that she was a tough guy. She acted like a tough guy around me, like she was a New York City kid. I was just a rube from the country. So she kind of had a bit of a kind of condescending attitude, I think, and like she's born and raised in New York City, so she's smarter and better and whatever than me, that's we're not together. I love her. I care for her. I'm glad she has a nice life, after me. But yeah, it's like, are you up? Are you down? I'm still losing. That's the chorus.
I could never imagine that it will be a woman.
Yeah. Funny. Yeah.
But now that we are talking about women, tell me, Paige, is Makeup a love song in the Helmet style?
No. Makeup is makeup. That word makeup term, I should say, it's two words. It has so many meanings. It's like somebody can make stuff up. He makes that. He made that up. It's a lie. A person's character, their makeup, their what is their makeup. Also, wearing makeup, like for how people wear makeup on TV. Those specifically, those lines. If you read some of the lyrics, I sing, bloated, feckless, orange, and dickless, flaunt your lack of grace. That's very, very specifically about Donald Trump, who's the worst president in the history of the United States, and a terrible human being who's caused so much pain and death and destruction, and is just an evil person who has no interest in this country or any of its citizens. He wants to enrich himself, and he likes being in that position of power. But I think hopefully his time is over. I hope.
When I listen to Bombastic, I pay attention to the guitar solo, and because the guitar solo, I consider that it's really different than others that are in the CD. Tell me, how did you conceive a guitar solo?
That's interesting. That's you have very good ears, because I did all my solos in my home studio except for that song. And the reason I had to do that song in the studio was I needed to be in front of the guitar cabinet. So I wanted to get feedback. Live, it's easy. Like I could go up to my amp head and put the pickup next to the transformer, or I could lean into the amp and I could get feedback. And that's very hard to do at home, because I play through a tube preamp with a DI, a direct box. And so the solos were kind of like maybe a little more guitaristic, except for that one where I was in the room and I was playing really loud, probably 105, 110, I don't know, really loud. And I was just with the amp and the cabinet in the room, and headphones, and tried to get in with the music. It's just that was really a lot of fun to do. Yeah, I did about if I remember correctly, I think I did about four solos on that one, and then I kind of went through and I picked. That was the only one that's not live beginning to end. So I liked half of one solo a lot, and I liked another half of another solo. So we put those together. So that was like, you know, but the rest of the solos were just whole takes, like the tape.
Good ears. Yes.
Yeah, very good.
Yes, Bombastic is one of my favorite. Also, Big Shot. And I noticed that even when your vocal style look like closer to punk rock music, you pay attention to good vocal melodies. And tell me, Paige, are you trying to be a trained singer, or you sing because there wasn't any choice?
Oh, I love singing. It's one of my great joys in life. I mean, I love playing the guitar. Obviously, I love writing, you know, rock songs. I love writing, you know, this orchestral stuff, and I love singing. It's there's no other outlet quite as pure as your voice. And over the years, I've learned more about my voice. You know, I'm a baritone. I sang in choir in college. I was a baritone because I have a lower voice, and I figured out if I tune it down a whole step, it seems to be a more comfortable range for me. You know, on the low stuff, and yeah, I mean, my highest note is probably G, maybe an A, but you know, above the staff. Yeah, I love singing. I feel I have so much more confidence now than I did back in 1989, 1990, 91, where it was all emotion back then. It was all emotion. And as I learn more about my voice, I actually warm up now. I practice. I'm never going to sing opera. I mean, because I have a scratchy, kind of distorted, you know, voice. But I like that tone that I can get. You know, the acoustic song, for example. I did that. It's a whole take. I did a take, and we were like, "This is done." But I said, "I want to do a couple more takes." So I just sang it 3 times the whole way through. You know, Bombastic was very, very difficult because of the rhythm. You know, just try to kind of to find the pocket where it's, you know, where it sings. So I worked on that one. That was the last song we wrote.
I pay attention to Dislocated because of the drum with air, with reverb, and some vocal lines made me think of Rob Zombie. How did you conceive that song?
I had this kind of blues form in mind, you know, and then it's not a blues, but it's kind of blues inspired, and I like the kind of call and response thing, you know, abandoned fan and slam and DJ, and then then the drums, you know, you suffer fools, you suffocate. The groove keeps kind of going. So I had that simple chord, just a big open D, like the AC/DC D chord with an open E string, and then I came up with that now kind of Rolling Stones style thing, you know, and I'm trying to think. You suffer fools, you suffocate. That's the kind of the idea of the song. They clap your hands to sing my praises. Kind of singing about these people that glorify themselves, you know, like the people that think they're above the rest of the human race, you know, like, and just making fun. The line, just grinning, glistening, shiny teeth was just grinning, glistening, boiling teeth. It's a line that I read from Tom Wolfe, who wrote Bonfire of the Vanities, one of the great English, you know, language novels of all time. So yeah, it was kind of fun. It was also I got a threat from a friend of mine, from the husband of a female friend of mine, threatened me years ago. My parents were still alive, and I was like, wow. So I was like, threatened threatened me for that time in Detroit, and I changed it to the time I destroy. I just destroy people that just have scorched the earth, have no regard for anyone or anything.
You play also jazz, and you play the helmet music that in the 90s it was called alternative, rock alternative, or things like that. And you always try to keep jazz and helmet separate. But I think, Paige, that in resolution, that you make a little mistake because the sound of the guitar, the way to play is more jazzy than the rest. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had that idea to do a version of that song for years, because it's that album, A Love Supreme, is one of those albums that changed my musical soul. Like, I listened to it so much, and I didn't understand what he was doing when I was 19 years old, but as time went on and I studied more and more and I got better at jazz, I started to see what he was doing, and it's this modal movement that he expanded from Miles Davis' Kind of Blue, Coltrane just really expanded upon. I just thought it was a beautiful melody. I think it is a beautiful melody, and I wanted to play it on an electric guitar because that's more like a saxophone with like sustaining notes and stuff. And it was a tip of the cap to one of my heroes. And on Betty, we ended the album with the best song, Sam Hell. And then on Betty, we did the Beautiful Love, that little jazz intro. So this was kind of, it's not jazz. It's jazz, but I'm not John Scofield, unfortunately. I wish I could play like John Scofield or Kurt Rosenwinkel, whatever. But those guys are heroes of mine. And so I do my own version. I call it I'm kind of stuck between punk rock and metal and funk or whatever it is we do. Groovy metal.
On one hand, your music is very different. On the other, you can play different styles. And I would like to know if the Manhattan School of Music helped you to create Helmet's own an innovative sound, or you bring from that school the most classical and jazzy music. Tell me.
Yeah, I mean, that Manhattan School of Music is very much about classical music and jazz. They have a jazz program that I was enrolled in '85, and it took me 2 years to get my master's degree. I learned so much from that, but you can also see that kind of there's a side of jazz that can be kind of judgmental, like jazz musicians can kind of look down on other musicians, and you can't fake jazz. You can't fake it. Some people do, and I don't call myself a jazz guitar player, but I love the music, and that's what I practice every day when I wake up. So I think the way jazz influenced Helmet is that the harmonically, the chord exploration, things that I do if I'm doing a chord melody on Cherokee or whatever, you have to figure out the melody and the chords, different voicings, and that's kind of in Helmet. I came up with my own chord vocabulary. Also, the improvisation. When I'm playing a solo, the 80% of the time I'm improvising. I'm not playing a bag of tricks. Like a lot of, I think the rock thing kind of more is more like cool rock licks, and I like that. But I'm actually trying to improvise and follow melodies that I'm hearing and stuff, and I think that comes from jazz. And then the other thing is that is the feel that swings. A song like "Give It" from Meantime. That's bone, the groove, and then jazz is all about the groove. So I think that kind of sums up how jazz seeps into Helmet or influences, or it certainly makes me write differently than like a straight up rocker.
The CD will be released a few days before your European tour starting, November the 8th. and finishing next December in London. Tell me, do you think that the band is more recognized in Europe than in USA, or is only a coincidence? Yes.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, we get a lot of. We're doing a smaller market tour right now, so they call it secondary markets, and I've been pleasantly surprised. I feel like there have been a lot more kids, very young kids, like 10, 11, 12, up to 17, 18, coming to the shows, and that's heartening. But I always felt like, I mean, our Europe tour, a lot of the shows sold out like in a day or two. You know, Honda Ribia, Hamburg, Berlin, Cologne. The shows all sold out very quickly. I think, maybe because it's been 4 years since we've been there, right? 2019, 2021, yeah, it's been 4 years. So, yeah, I mean, we're not a household name or whatever. I feel like in Europe, there's a bit more emphasis on musical bands that music, and less. And here it's kind of like the pop star thing, So I think, yeah, I love playing over there. It's great. I can't wait.
And are there any possibility of Spanish tour dates or not yet?
Just Honda Ribia and Madrid, I believe, on this particular run. I think I have to look at the schedule again, but I think those are the only 2 Spanish dates.
Okay, Paige, this is our questions. If you want to say something to say goodbye, it's your moment, and then we
okay. Thank you. Well, it's very nice to meet you, Tony. I really appreciate it, and hope metal, made of metal sounds good. All right.
Yes, and you know that a lot of heavy metal bands confess that they were influenced by Helmet. So this is
nice.
why we are here. Yes.
Oh, beautiful. That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, Mr. Hamilton, thank you very much
for
your time.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
Hope to see you
day.
in Spain.
Please. Great.
Bye.
Bye.